Hello everyone and welcome back to Video Editing 1 with Professor Harris. Today is the last lesson. We're going through the final lesson of this semester, this course. Thank you for sticking with me. These videos have been difficult to record. They take a lot of time and I'm trying to put a lot of effort into them so that you get as much so that you learn as much as possible. And I hope that you have learned a lot and that you feel like you learned a lot. Thank you for going on this journey with me and thank you for being here. So let's get into the final lesson here, lesson 15, managing project media. So as you learned during the MC101 course, working effectively on any editing system requires familiarity with certain technical concepts. In that course, you explored fundamentals like Avid's media management strategy and how to delete clip media you don't need. Since understanding these concepts will help you make informed decisions throughout a project, you'll quickly review them in this lesson. Then you'll delve into additional topics like identifying unused media and managing sequence media. By the end, you'll have several tools and strategies in hand to give you an edge if you plan on a career in TV, film, or video production. Today, we're going to be working in the MC110 TN Parkour project. So while we wait for that to launch up, let's look at some of the goals for this lesson. Our goals for this lesson are number 1, to review how Media Composer manages Avid native media. Number 2, manage media with the media tool. Number 3, perform, consolidate, and transcode procedures. And number 4, delete unused media. Let's get into it. We're going to start this lesson off with some media management review. So, if it's been a while since you completed the MC101 course, especially media management strategy and workflows, this section will quickly revisit several key concepts and how to do so. For a more in-depth exercise, we can revisit lesson 12, the technical fundamentals in the MC101 course, and that will help you going forward with media management, especially as you reach the end of your project or at least the end of these courses. In this section, you'll review how Media Composer manages Avid native media, how to quickly locate a clip's media file at the operating system level, and how to use the media tool. So after the review, you'll explore a new troubleshooting tip. So let's get into managing Avid native media first. So what is Avid native media? If you answer something like any media created by Media Composer during operations like import, consolidate, transcode, and render, then that's great. You understand that media that's brought into Media Composer, separate from linking, is being changed into like metadata. Quick note here from Avid, Media Composer supports a variety of codecs. For example, the DNxHD, Apple ProRes, XDCAM HD, and creates Avid native media in the MXF container format. So we remember the MXF container format. We remember the MXF folders that are on our computer. That's where that Avid media is being stored. Some reminders about Avid native media file management. Media Composer stores Avid native media files in the following directories. So we have external drive, Windows internal drive, or Mac internal drive, depending on which operating system you're on, or if you're using an external flash drive or hard drive, depending. So let's break down each one of these, and I'll show you where you can find them in different directories. Okay, so let's quickly review those Avid media files and where they're stored. So this is what the book tells you about it. We have the external drive. So you have your media drive, Avid media files, MXF, and then numbered folders. So I have an external media drive here. So we have our external media drive, Avid media files, MXF, and then we have the numbered folders, right? These numbered folders represent the different imported media. So one is a lot of media that I've been importing for personal projects. The 101 media is all the 101 material for the first course, and we have 110 and so on. Additionally, so that's what that looks like as an external, right? And that's what it looks like here. We have the internal, and I'm on a Mac, not a Windows computer. So if I pull up my other Finder window here, we can see how we route to it on the Mac side. So I go to Macintosh HD, and then I go to Users, Shared, and then we come down to Avid Media Composer, no spaces. There's one with spaces. We want the one with no spaces. Open that, and then we go to Avid Media Files, Avid Space Media Files. We open that, and we see our MXF, and inside our MXF, we have the exact same thing, our numbered folders. Media Composer adds all MXF media files into numbered folders, starting with 1 and then 2, and then until it reaches 5,000. 5,000 is the file limit, so you can have up to 5,000 numbered folders in your MXF that will properly route to your projects. So that's a quick review there on where your Avid imported, rendered, transcoded, consolidated media files are. You can assign new numbers to media folders. For example, the 101, 110, 111, and 112 are used for, 110, 111, and 112 are used for this course's media files. So, like I was showing you earlier, I can even pull it up on this flash drive. I have it all on my flash drive so that I can work off my flash drive. But 110 to 112, all of these contain the files for this course. That includes the anesthesia videos, the TN parkour, the effects, all of that is here. All right, what about locating a media file? Let's get back into Avid and we'll look more at locating a media file. To locate a media file at the operating system level, we can either select a clip in a bin and go to File, Reveal File, or we can right-click the clip in the bin and choose Reveal File. So let's select a clip in our bin and we can do, where is Reveal File? I'm always blind with these things. There it is, Reveal File. And then it's going to take us to the directory on our computer where this is actually stored. And we can see it's in our 112 folder, and it's routing. Oh, it's also, some of the media is also in our 110 folder. So it's got both of these are partial media that make up the media that's actually inside Avid. But now we know where that media is. And that media has been imported, right, to Avid Media Composer, so it appears in one of these folders. Not the one that's on my USB, the one that's on my computer. So I'll go ahead and eject this so we don't get any more confusion with that. But if I was routed to my MXF folder on my computer's hard drive, that's where that would appear. Cool. And then what about linked media? Let's link some media here. So I'll just right click in my source monitor. We can do input, source browser, source monitor. That's my bin. I'm losing my brain. All right, we'll go to link, and then we'll go to desktop. And then on my desktop, I have, where is it? Lesson 15. And I have the first one of the videos that I recorded for this lesson. And I'll do link, and then that's going to link that footage up here. We can see that linked footage now. And if I right click on my linked footage and I do reveal file, that will reveal that folder or that video that's on my computer's desktop right now. So let's come back to my desktop. That's inside this folder. That's A space G. Cool. So when we're working with linked media, it's going to reference the original camera native in quotes media that we've created. But if we have imported media, it's going to show us where these folders are stored code-wise in our MXF. All right. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, just know that operating system window that opens, that's what's telling you where your stuff is. Quick reminder, if you work on the Windows system and click links to multiple MXF files, for example, video and audio, Media Composer reveals the first file, and then you reactivate Media Composer, the Reveal Next option dialog box will appear, and you'll hit that. So for instance, when I hit, which one was it? I think I did parking lot. If I hit Reveal File on this clip, it shows me two folders, right? It pulls up two different windows, and these have different locations for this folder, here and here. If we were on Windows, it would not pull up both at the same time. We would have to get back into Windows, or back into Media Composer, and then it would say, reveal the next one, the next associated data point that's referencing this clip. So just keep that in mind. Another quick note here from Media Composer. Media Composer traditionally creates media in the MXF OP ATOM format, a separate file for each track associated with a clip. So since Media Composer 2018.6, you can also work with the OP1A format, which creates one file containing all video and audio. Cool. Thanks, Avid. All right, let's move on to our third review topic for this lesson, and that's working with the media tool. So what's the advantage of using the media tool to manage our media inside Media Composer? Well, it lets us track and manage media in one place rather than across multiple bins or at the operating system level. Does this seem familiar? Well, it should, because MC101 introduced you to this and how to open the media tool and then deleting and importing clips, videos, and audio media. So we've done a lot of this stuff before. But let's review how to access it. So to work with the media tool, we're going to go to Tools, then Media, or Tools, then Media Tool. Where is the media tool? There's the media tool. And then we have the media tool. Wow, media tool display. So in the media tool display dialog box, we're going to select the drives and projects for media that you'd like to include. All drives and current project, we could select that as well. So if we want to do all drives, we could do that, and then we could select different projects or our current project. Right now we're selected on TN Parkour because that's a project that we're actually in. And we'll leave that selected for now. We'll just select Macintosh HD because that's the one that we're actually working in. And then we'll select the media file type that we'd like to include. For example, master clips, Avid native media, and linked master clips, camera native media. Then we can click OK. So we'll do master clips and linked media. And we'll click OK. And now we get this. Get this window. So what does this look like? What are we looking at here? We're looking at our single linked clip that we linked earlier, A space G. It looks like a bin though, and it functions like a bin. We have the different views that we can switch between, and this essentially functions like a bin. In fact, Media Composers and the Media Tool displays associated video and audio files together as a clip. So we can treat it like a bin. That means we can customize column arrangements in the text view, double-click the column heading, and sort contents, change views, and more, just like as if this was a bin. Some reminders about the Media Tool. Any clips you borrow from another project won't show up in the Media Tool when you select Current Project in the Media Tool display dialog box. Second thing to note is that the Media Tool includes two options for displaying pre-computes, rendered effects, freeze frames, and effects you render in the timeline, or titles and matte keys, which can be imported graphics with alpha channels. So keep that in mind as well. And then unless you need to troubleshoot an issue with the Avid technical support staff, you can generally leave media files deselected. We don't have to use media files. That wraps up our review of these first three functions. If you want a more in-depth look at this, you can go back to that MC101 Lesson 12 video. It's on my channel. I'll link it in the description too, or at least I'll link the link to the whole playlist, and then you can thumb down to Lesson 12 there and review all these concepts for yourself. All right, let's keep moving now, and we're going to look at restoring clips to a bin. So what if you accidentally deleted a clip from the bin but kept its media? You can use the media tool to restore the clip to the bin. To do this, we can go to the Tools, Media Tool. Let's open that up. And then we can select the drive containing the media for the missing clip, or click All Drives and select Current Project. So do All Drives, and then we can select Current Project. So that's all selected there. And then we can select either master clips for Avid native media files or linked master clips for camera native media files, and then click OK. Depending on what you had accidentally deleted but not its actual media, you could do that. So I'll just hit OK to both. And then we can sort the media, we can select we can sort the media tool by column, and that will help us identify the lost clips. So we could use one of these columns to help us find what we're looking for. If we knew there was a specific name convention, we could click the name column, and then we could start typing whatever keywords are in that name if we had a big list of deleted media. I've not deleted a lot of media from this project, so there really isn't media to be shown here. But we could then, once we find what we're looking for, we can drag and drop the clip from the media tool to our bin. So if there's media that we wanted to restore, we could do that. I haven't deleted this, so I don't know why it's appearing here, but it is already in my bin. So, but if I had a big list of deleted media, I could be dragging and dropping that media back into my project if it got deleted. All right, let me show you guys a shot from the book and the way that this would look if you were looking at it in the book. As the image on screen shows, Media Composer restores the clip from our media tool back into the bin. So if we drug a clip from our media tool that was deleted back into our bin, it would be restored. Quick note here from Avid: if you deleted both the clip and its media from the bin, but also saved the files to a backup media drive, connect the backup drive and follow the steps above to locate the clip and restore it to the bin. You can use the consolidate/transcode to move the media from the backup drive to your project's media drives. So if you deleted something, you deleted the media that was on your computer, but you had a backup, you could plug in that backup and use that to also restore your media back to your project. Also, what else? Let's expand on using the media tool to delete media though. So let's close all this and we'll keep moving with the media tool. Deleting media files. Before we revisit deleting media from the media tool, let's review the difference between deleting from the bin versus the media tool with a quick quiz question. Which two of the following statements are true? Choose two. A, in the media tool you can delete both clips and associated media. B, in the media tool you can delete only video and audio files. C, you can delete both clips and associated media from a bin. D, you can only delete clips or media files from the bin, not both. All right, I'm going to give you a second to think about that. All right, ready for the answer? If you chose B and C, that's great. You remember the difference. If you choose incorrectly, keep B and C in mind if you debate between deleting from the bin or the media tool. So again, B and C are the correct answers. B, in the media tool, you can only delete video and audio files. And C, you can delete both clips and associated media from a bin. Okay. All right. So now that we have that cleared up, regardless of the media type that you plan to delete, Avid native video and audio or pre-computes, the basic steps are always the same. So since we use the master clip option to show media tool deletion in the MC110 course, let's look at deleting pre-computes and rendered files now. All right, deleting rendered files. As you experienced during the lesson 12 in this course, at least, Media Composer creates pre-computes or rendered files anytime you render an effect. That said, you need to keep in mind Media Composer. So Media Composer doesn't delete pre-computes if you change an effect and then re-render it. So those pre-computes that you made, let's say I made a bunch of pre-computes of this shot, and then I tweaked it slightly, and then I re-rendered it. That old render is still going to be there, and we don't need that old render. We just wanted to go with the new version. So, second thing to note is that Media Composer creates a pre-compute for freeze frame clips. So we have some freeze frame clips here, we go, freeze frame clips. So there's pre-computes for that. Media Composer only creates pre-compute media for motion effects if you click the create and render in the motion effect dialog box. So let's load a clip into our thing here. If I open my motion effect editor and if I hit create and render, then it's going to create a pre-compute. If I just hit create after making a fit to fill or whatever it may be, then it doesn't create that pre-compute file. And then Media Composer creates a pre-compute when you import a matte key, for example, a logo with an alpha channel. We talked about alpha channels in the last lesson, and so you should understand what that means now. As systems become faster and Media Composer grows more efficient, less and less effects are required for rendering. So this includes motion effects, which are kind of like a new thing, sort of, where we don't really need renders all the time for our motion effects. As you might suspect, rendering effects unnecessarily consumes drive space. Thankfully, you can use the media tool to delete these pre-computes. To delete pre-computes for rendered effects, we can go to the tools and then media tool again. I'm going to open this 900 times this lesson. And then in the media tool display dialog box, we can choose the media drives containing the pre-computes and then click current project. So I'm going to just select all drives and then I'm going to select current project. So we're set to that. And then we're going to click the pre-computes clips rendered effects and checkbox and ensure that all other checkboxes are unchecked. So we'll remove the linked master clips and the master clips button, these check marks. And then in the media tool, we'll select the pre-computes or specific pre-computes that we want to delete after we hit OK. So now we have all these pre-computes Now we can select which ones we want to delete from our project. We can press backspace or the delete key and then click OK and then delete the media dialog boxes. We can click OK if we're sure we want to delete these media files, and that will appear. Let's go rogue. Let's delete all of them. So Media Composer removes the files from the system. Keep in mind that you cannot undo this, but you can re-render an effect if you delete its pre-compute by mistake. I'm inevitably going to delete some pre-computes that I already want if I do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm just going to hit delete. And so are you sure you want to delete these media files? And I will hit delete. And now my pre-computes for my project are gone. So any pre-computes, any time warp effects that need to be rendered need to be re-rendered if they're going to work or play back in real time. Quick note here from Avid. If you delete pre-computes associated with imported matte key effects such as logos, recreating these involves extra steps. That's why Media Composer includes a separate pre-compute clips, titles, and matte keys options that you can leave unchecked, or you can check if you're trying to do so. So what's that saying? It's saying that in our media tool, if I come here, we have our pre-computes, titles, and matte keys. So that's separate from our other pre-computes that has to do with rendered effects. Okay. Thanks, Media Composer. Very cool. All right. What else do we want to do? What if you re-render a complex effect built multiple times as you make adjustments, or you need to re-render a non-real-time effect multiple times? Media Composer can help you identify the older unused pre-computes so you can delete these instead. So to delete unused pre-computes using the Media tool, we can go back to Tools, Media tool, and then in the Media Tools dialog box, we'll select the drives containing the pre-compute media, and then click Current Project button, Current Project, blah, 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 blah. We'll select our pre-computes again, and then we can click the pre-computes renders effects, yep. And then we can open the bins containing any sequences that contain rendered effects that we want to keep. So I'm just going to click OK. I deleted everything, so that's all gone. I shouldn't have done that, but I did it. So we're here now. But we'll open the bins containing any sequences that contain rendered effects that we want to keep. Let me say that again. So we'll open the bins containing any sequences that contain rendered effects that we want to keep. So if we're looking at, let's say, our TN Parkour student lessons, this bin has our sequences in it, and now that it's open. Now, in the Media tool, if we click the Fast menu and choose Select Unreferenced Clips, so if I do Media tool and I do, where is Select Unreferenced Clips, then it's going to, then click OK to the message that appears informing us that we'd like computer. What does it say? Okay, so we would select this unreferenced clips, and then it's going to tell us that there aren't any clips. But if there were clips here, so let me back up. What's happening here? So when we open a bin here on the left, we have access to all these sequences. Media Composer counts these as referenced or clips that are being used or sequences that are being used. And so when we load our pre-computes here, which there aren't any pre-computes because I was silly and I deleted them all, it would, when we do that select unreferenced clips, it's only going to select pre-computes that have nothing to do with these sequences. And then we know which ones are ones that we might be interested in deleting. Then we can click OK to the message that appears informing us that the system will only consider links to items in open bins, so we don't have to worry about that. We saw that little message pop up. Let's see that again. Select unreferenced clips. So select unreferenced clips will select all clips that are unreferenced by any sequence in current open bins. References to clips in bins that are closed are not taken into account. So boom. And then we can choose from which of those we want to delete, and then we can hit again, we can select those and then hit delete or backspace on our keyboard, and that will delete all those pre-computes that we aren't using or aren't currently referenced by having our sequence bin open. All right, I hope that makes sense. Let's keep moving on. Okay, so before we move on really quickly again, opening any bins containing sequences with rendered files that we want to keep is crucial. That's the crucial step here. Media Composer only scans open bin contents when selecting unreferenced clips. So if your bins are open, you don't have to worry about it selecting that media if you're trying to select unreferenced media. Cool. All right, let's move on. Let's look at 2 more ways that we can use the media tool to delete media: deleting unused project media and as a resource for concluding a project, right? So once we're done with the project, we can delete that unused media. Deleting unused project media. If you work on projects with lots of media, for example, documentaries or feature films, you can likely free up considerable drive space going forward, especially for video clips or project media that you didn't use. So let's give this context with a scenario. So let's say you linked to and then transcoded, so then you converted it to Avid native media, 20 hours of footage. And then you approach the final editing phase and your story is locked and your final sequence is at 90 minutes long. So you had 20 hours of footage that now has just been broken down into 90 minutes. You can delete the media files for clips not included in this sequence, so we can free up that extra space. Good news is that you can use the same workflow we use for deleting unused pre-computes as we're going to use for deleting unused clips and unreferenced media. So let's review the key points. To delete unused media files, we're going to open the media tool to display all the master clips from the current project on all drives. Then we'll open all the bins containing the sequence with the associated media that we need to keep. And then in the media tool, you'll click the fast menu, choose select unreferenced clips, and then you'll delete the media that you're not referencing. So again, this is very similar structure to what we did earlier. I mean, it's the exact same structure as deleting the unused pre-computes. We're going to do the exact same thing for our video. So Media Composer permanently deletes the media for unused clips. All media associated with clips in the open sequences bin remain online. Quick note here from Avid: since media deletion is permanent, avoid managing media when you're tired or stressed. Do not delete your stuff when you're not sure, when you're tired, or it's the end of the workday. That usually is some of the workflow. Is you'll work on something and then you're like, okay, it's packaged, it's ready. Let's clip off the end and then send it off. Well, no, you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're doing that at another time. Give yourself the fresh eyes to come back and look at it more critically. All right, let's explore one more example of this. So we can do the concluding a project. When we're concluding our project, this is what we're going to do now. So knowing how to properly wrap up a project is critical to long-term success. This includes deleting all project media. If not properly deleted, orphaned files, these are media from projects no longer on the system, get left behind and consume precious drive space. So you don't want to leave any media behind if you're permanently done with a project. So before you delete the media, you need to archive all project assets. This typically means preserving the original media sources, graphic files, and fonts. Plus, you'll save a copy of the project folder and you'll copy all sequence media to an archive drive for long-term storage. So before you get into deleting and wrapping up anything, you want to back up your Avid project. You want to back up the original video assets that you used to create it, any graphics, any fonts, any really everything. It should be packaged into one contained nice folder, and it should be sorted with those subsets. I can't remember which lesson it is, but there is an example in one of the lessons. I wish I could remember right now, but how they sort out project media, and it always starts with one folder. Get that one folder. It's got the name of the project on it. Everybody knows that's the main folder, and then from there you just make subfolders for documents, the actual Avid edited file, the raw footage, the raw photos, whatever you might use, the audio, and that all stays in that one folder. Okay, so but before you delete media, you need to archive, again, all your stuff. And then once you complete this archive process, you can safely delete all project media with confidence. You'll know everything is backed up the way it should be somewhere else. After all, you can always restore that project later if you need to pull it back into Media Composer. To delete all project media, we can double check that you completed all archiving tasks listed above or listed that I just listed. If not done already, you're going to disconnect the archive drive to ensure that you don't accidentally delete any archived files. So we don't want to be deleting anything that we shouldn't. Next, we'll go to File and then the Media tool. File, and then if we come down to Media, where is it? Why does it say File, Media tool? That's not how we get to the Media tool. There's no Media tool. The book is wrong. Go to Tools, Media tool. And then in the Media tool display dialog box, we're going to click the All Drives and Current Project buttons. All Drives, Current Project. We'll select both master clips and both pre-compute checkboxes. So master clips, pre-computes. And then we'll select, what else will we select? Yep, got that. Then we'll click OK. OK. And then in the Media Tool window, we'll press Control A or Command A to select all items. So we'll hit Command A. This would be a giant list if I was working with this properly. And then we'll select all available tracks in the Delete Media dialog box. And then, so if I hit Delete, then we're going to make sure we select all these available tracks. I really just have one linked media that's not actually on any other tracks. And then we'll click OK, and then it's going to say, are you sure you want to delete these? And we will click Delete to confirm the deletion of all that media. Media Composer deletes all media associated with the project. If you need to work with the project later, you can restore it from the archive. So again, it looked a little bit different than it actually would if we were deleting everything. I don't want to delete everything off this project, so that's why we only saw that one thing. All right. There's an exercise for this in the book, so you should go check that out. Media Composer wants you to obviously be doing these exercises, and that's exercise 15.1. If you're confused at all by these steps, I highly recommend doing that and going into, again, exercise 15.1. All right, let's keep moving, and we'll start working with consolidate and transcode. Working with consolidate and transcode. Back in lesson 2, we explored how to consolidate and transcode camera native media associated with linked clips. Let's review and add on to that now. This section presents several consolidate and transcode scenarios, so you should consider bookmarking the page in the book. That's page 410, and then if you get confused, you can come back and re-understand the difference. But here's how consolidate and transcode work. Consolidate moves or copies media files associated with selected clips, subclips, or sequences to a designated drive without re-encoding the media. Transcode converts media associated with selected clips, sequences, and subclips and places the new media on a designated drive. So those are the two major differences. As mentioned, you'll likely encounter situations where you need to use each. Let's break these down now so that you don't get confused. So you'll use consolidate to copy linked Avid supported camera native media to Avid native media without re-encoding it, move media files from one drive to another, copy media files from multiple drives onto one drive, copy media files to an archived drive, clear excess media by consolidating subclips or a sequence. Selections you make in the bin and consolidate/transcode dialog box determine if you move or copy media. Let me say that again. Selections you make in the bin and consolidate/transcode dialog box determine if you move or copy media. More on this in a moment, but you'll use transcode to convert camera native media associated with linked clips to Avid native media, as you did in lesson 2. Convert linked camera native media associated with a sequence to Avid native media. Convert high-res footage to low-resolution media, for example, for offline editing when you're doing a documentary. And to convert from MPEG or MPEG long GOP HDV to HD for more efficient editing. So those are the reasons you would use transcode and consolidate. Now that you've reviewed how consolidate and transcode work and when you'll use each, let's look at some scenarios and additional tips. Using consolidate. Lesson 2 covered consolidating linked camera native media to Avid native media. Good news, regardless of why you need to consolidate, the steps remain the same. The setup varies slightly though. Let's use two scenarios to review consolidate. Number one, move Avid native media from multiple drives to one drive. And number two, to consolidate a sequence before freeing up drive space. I'm going to be using reference images from the book because the way that my project is currently set up on my computer does not reflect the same thing as the book. So we'll be using images from the book going forward here for just a little bit, and we'll get back to Avid appropriately in a second. But as you can see on the image here on screen, media resides on both Macintosh HD and media. So we're talking about moving media from one drive onto the other drive, so it's all stored on the same drive and not multiple at the same time. So to move media with consolidate, we're going to select all the clips in our bin. So we would select all of these clips in our bin that we want to move. And then we can right click the selected clips and choose consolidate/transcode, or we could come up to the top, go to clip, and then consolidate/transcode. In the consolidate/transcode dialog box, let me pull that up, we have this consolidate/transcode dialog box. We're going to select in the upper left corner, consolidate. And then in the video data pane, we're going to select the target drive for our moved media, or where we're going to move our media. So if we wanted to move the Macintosh HD files, we would, let me move this real quick. So we would select these Macintosh HD files, and then we would right click, do consolidate/transcode. It would come up here. We'd make sure we select consolidate in that window, and we would select the drive that we wanted to move the media to. All right. Now, we can choose the following options for handling the media. On the right side of the dialog box, we can select delete original media files when done to set up for moving media. Deselected sets up for copying media. So if it's deselected, it'll set it up for copying there. We can select skip native media files already on the target drive. So Media Composer sorts through what needs to be moved, and this is a time saver. And then optionally, we can choose the appropriate audio conversion options, and then we can click consolidate. And that consolidate button will be on the lower part of this whole window. And then it will, boop, this will be the final output. Inside our bin, we'll see that all the media is now moved over and is on the same drive. We can see media is the drive. Awesome. During the lesson 2, copying and converting linked media, you explored how to use consolidate to copy camera native media's files to an MXF folder. You'll follow the same steps if you need to copy Avid native media from one MXF folder to another on a different drive. So if we wanted to move that camera media, let me pull up that image now. And here's that image. I just said camera native, but I meant Avid native. So if you're trying to move Avid native media from one drive, let's say it was on your USB or a remote drive, and you wanted to copy that over your computer or vice versa, you would do the same action. You would do the consolidate, you would choose consolidate, you would choose which destination. You would have selected the media already. So you would select that media in your bin, come into your Windows, you would leave this unchecked, delete original media files when done, skip native media files already on target drive, and then you would come over here, keep native master clips linked with media on the original drive, and then you hit OK, and we would see that we could copy Avid native media to another drive. So that would be the way that you could do it there. The image on screen shows the options that you would select for the transcode and consolidate dialog box. You can also consolidate a sequence or subclips before following the procedures in the deleting unused project media section to free up space. So let's use a sequence as an example now. To consolidate a sequence, we'll right-click a sequence in the bin. We could try and do that now, right? I don't think I have any other drives on this computer, but we could imagine that I did. So we could take, let's take this. We'll right-click. We'll do consolidate/transcode. It's going to bring up our dialog box here. And then we'll select the destination drive. I still just only have one, so we'll select the same one. And then we can choose the same drive if if it's current media, if we want to save as current media. And then we can set the handle length if we wanted to. The handle length is currently set to 48 frames. And then we can set the following options for handling the media. So we can ensure, number one, we can ensure delete original media file when done is unchecked. So we don't want to delete the original media file. We want to leave that unchecked. And then we want to ensure to skip native media files already on target drive is unchecked as well, because we want it to execute properly. So optionally, we could choose any audio conversion option to convert the audio and then click consolidate. So I'll hit consolidate, and then that's going to consolidate that. And we're going to see it's imported and consolidated all that media. I don't actually want all that media here in this specific bin, so I'm just gonna remove all this, and we're gonna hit delete, and we're gonna hit delete. Oh, that's just dip 1. We don't want all this inside our what do we want to do here? I'll just hit OK. All right, cool. Now we have a consolidated version. We can see it says consolidated 01, and that's a consolidated version of my parkour montage L11 for lesson 11. All right, so Media Composer creates clips and subclips with .new extensions. The new clips and subclips durations match the timeline segments durations plus handle. So it's all those clips that we saw that I just deleted really quickly. It had an extra 48 frames of handle. So, for example, if we had set the length to 12 frames, that would be a 5-second segment becomes a 6-second segment if our frame rate was set to 24 frames per second. And then the new subclips would also add 12 frames at the start and end of each. So when we create that handle, so what I feel like I'm speaking gibberish, but what I'm going to say now is I'm going to back up and slow it down here. When I consolidated and transcoded this sequence, it took all the media that was in this sequence and only the media that was referenced in the sequence, and it consolidated it, and then made sort of a duplicate for me of it. And it took all the reference media, all the different clips that are in this sequence, and it duplicated them, added them to my bin here, and it also added a little bit of extra handle to each shot so that I could use all this media again and refine it later if I wanted to. So that's a quick way that you can consolidate, and that's one way that you could just move the media from one drive to another drive, and keep intact your whole sequence. So I hope that makes a little more sense. All right, the original sequence remains intact though. To clean up your sequence bin, you can move the consolidated sequence clips and subclips to a separate bin. I could have done that, but I didn't. A consolidated sequence no longer references the original media. You can use the deleting unused project media workflow, deleting media files section to remove unreferenced media if you want at another time. When you consolidate a sequence before deleting unreferenced media, you'll delete media for unused clips and media for unused portions of clips in your sequence. Here's an example. You cut together a 60-minute sequence, and the unused portion of segments add up to 3 hours, and the unused clips add up to 12 hours. If you select the delete unreferenced clips, you remove 15 hours of media minus the handle set in the consolidate/transcode dialog box. What if you can't consolidate a sequence because it contains linked clips in an unsupported format? Well, then you'll transcode it instead. So this is where we use transcode. Using transcode. A quick reminder, you can use transcode to convert camera native media associated with the linked clips to Avid native media. To review this, let's revisit lesson 2, copying and converting linked media. This subsection covers 2 scenarios. Number 1, you link to a camera native media, build a rough cut with linked clips, and want to convert the files to Avid native media. And number 2, you need to transcode Avid native media associated with a sequence. To transcode a sequence to convert camera native media to Avid native media, you'll right-click the sequence in the bin and choose consolidate/transcode, or you can go to clip consolidate/transcode. you'll select the transcode button and select the target drive. Then you'll set the handle length and select transcode only linked media. In the convert video section, you'll select the following. I'll show this on screen now. So you'll select the following: source dimensions from the raster dimensions menu, the keep source frame rate button, and a target video resolution such as DNX HD, SQ, or Apple ProRes 422. And then number 5, optionally, we can choose the appropriate audio conversion options and click transcode at the bottom. Awesome. As the image on screen shows, the results look almost the same as consolidate. Once again, you can move the sequence transcode appended to the name, new clips and subclips to the appropriate bin after that transcode finishes and adds to your bin. So let's look at transcoding Avid native media associated with the sequence. For this, you can match the converted media to the project's raster dimensions and frame rate. Let's look at how. So to transcode a sequence that links to Avid native media, we'll double-click or double-check the Format Setting tab and ensure that the preset matches our desired format. For example, 1080 by 23.976. So let me close this, get out of the way. So again, if we're trying to transcode a sequence that links to Avid native media, we can double-check the Format Setting tab. So we'll come over here, we'll go File, and then Settings. If we go to Format, we can see we have our format here, or you can look at the bottom left of your screen. We can see we do have a 1280 by 720 at 2398. So now we can right-click the sequence in the bin and choose consolidate/transcode, or we can go to clip/consolidate. So we would choose our sequence, we could right-click it, do consolidate/transcode, and then ensure that the transcode button is enabled, so not consolidate, and then we can choose the target drive and set handle length. In the convert video section, we can set the raster dimension to the desired result. For example, either match the source dimension or create a consistent raster dimension by selecting the project dimensions. We can check the convert to project frame rate to confirm all clips to the same frame rate. So we can conform them all to the same frame rate. And then optionally, we could choose the appropriate audio conversion options, and then we could click transcode on the bottom right. Awesome. And that should all look like this by the time you're done with it. Cool. So once again, the clips and subclips will add the .new extension, and the new sequence transcoded appended to the name appears in the bin. A quick note here from Avid: before consolidating or transcoding a sequence, consider duplicating it into a bin to more easily manage the new clips and the subclips Media Composer creates. So what is it saying there? You know how earlier when I consolidated, we saw that all those media files, those subclips, those clips, they all appeared in this bin. What it's saying is you could make a duplicate by hitting Command D and then taking that duplicate and throwing it into a different bin. And so now we have it in a different bin, and when I transcode or consolidate it from here, I'm not gonna get completely overwhelmed with all that media. I can have a new set place for that to all go. I'm gonna remove this because I don't actually need that, and we'll keep moving. All right, what else we got here? Background processing. Consolidate and transcode can run in the background if you want. So this lets you continue editing while Media Composer copies and converts media. To initiate this, we can select the background process option button at the bottom of the transcode and consolidate window or dialog box before clicking consolidate or transcode. Let me show you what that looks like really quickly here. Where are we at? Sequences, right click, consolidate transcode. That's this right here. So we could tell this to run in the background as a background process. Avid recommends only using this feature if your system has a minimum of 16 gigabytes of RAM, so it's disabled by default. If you have less RAM, it may not work properly, so don't think about using that if you have less than 16. When using background processing, Media Composer creates the clip's metadata only immediately. This appears offline until Media Composer finishes, and then Media Composer automatically links the clips to the new media files. So while it's processing in the background, you might not be able to use the media that it's creating. All right, awesome. And with that, we're actually done. We've reached the end of this semester. We've reached the end of everything that I'm going to be teaching you here in Avid Media Composer. The end of this series, I guess you could say as well. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I know a lot of this information can be confusing, but Avid Media Composer is such a powerful program. That's why there's so many features. That's why it can be so confusing, but so amazing and such an awesome tool. Well, you now have my seal, Professor Harris's seal of approval. You are ready to go out into the world and be great practitioners of media. God bless you. Thank you again so much for watching. To my viewers on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, and to my students, I will see you in class. Bye-bye.